welcome everyone. This is our second and for this month final class on this interactive question and answer format. We did this last February and doing it again, and I'm sure we'll do it periodically throughout the years as we continue to build our relationship with Rinpoche. His next class is on Thursday, and then there's a class that new class begins on Thursday, a new series, and then another new series begins the Tuesday after that. That's Mountain Time, Rinpoche for you the next day in the morning. Um,
Mhm.
so, not to worry, the next day in the morning. Uh, so, yeah, so this is an interactive format, and so just use the raise hand icon if you would like to start us off with a question. Rinpoche is an esteemed teacher in our tradition with over 20 years of study in the monastery system, and he is, we very much hope, our next resident teacher. We have invited Rinpoche to be the next resident teacher, and we're just trying to get everything lined up with all of the legal paperwork. So please make strong prayers that all of the obstacles are cleared away and that Rinpoche can join us here in Santa Fe as quickly as possible. But if there's anyone that would like to start with a first question, again, just use the raise hand icon and I will call on you. Yes, Jay, go ahead.
There we go. Okay. Thank you very much. Now, I've got a question which I have asked others before who may even be in the room. But if you could clarify for me, the reason that we use in the various things the Tibetan language, and also the question about having to say things usually three times. If you could clarify that. I can understand Sanskrit in a way because it's had such a long history, and the translation of the words may not have the same connotation that was intended originally. But I'm not clear on why we would use Tibet. So that's I have two questions. That's the easier one. Okay.
Uh, can you repeat? Sorry.
Why,
I'll
why do
try to
we
be concise.
why do we recite things in the Tibetan language rather than using English since we understand English? Is that the first question?
Ah, yeah, that's the first question.
That can be the first question, yes.
Ah, um, so I think generally recitation has everything to do with practice. So if you read, for example, we say Sangye Chetan Jogi Chonam La Yeah, may I the English word. No, I don't remember fully, but may I achieve enlightenment, Sangye so it's one of the, and then what we say, create the merit to achieve enlightenment for the sake of all beings. Yeah, then for that I take refuge in the three gem. Yeah, uh, then I what we say offer all my. So anyway, it has to, every. I think every sentence, every word has to do with contemplation and practice. Just the recitation is just reciting is this one also a parrot can do if we teach a parrot to recite. So it's not just the reciting, it's what goes in the mind while reciting, what comes out of the mouth while reciting, what you feel inside while reciting. I think these are very important aspects of the practice itself. If you are emotionless, if you are cold, if you have no feelings, if you have no nothing going up in the mind, then the reciting is just reciting. It's practice, yes. I mean, you're habituating in reciting, but then it's sort of meaningless and it's sort of. I think at some point you do get like what we say a little bit not what we say not energized sort of thing. This, I think, from my own experience, I'm saying, because in the monastery there's a lot of memorizing, and when I was small and we were memorizing, we didn't understand the words. We were memorizing a lot, but we didn't understand the words. And then in the mind goes to the negative side immediately, and like, why am I doing this? What is the point of doing this? I'm wasting my time. I can't go out and play. Why am I? So it instead of bringing positivity, instead of bringing practice, instead of bringing spirituality, energizing, it goes to the negative side. So this is one thing about recitation is practice, inner practice. So to understand the words, it's, I think, very, very, very important. So as Westerners who know English, I would definitely recommend reciting it in English rather than in Tibetan. And the reason behind this is for the same reason that that you are able to contemplate on the words that you are reciting, that you are able to utilize the words that you are reciting, that you are able to what we say make use of the words to connect with your inner being, your inner understanding of the words while reciting. And so this, I think, is very, very important. Now, if you go to the traditional aspect, and now this is a little bit traditional part, yeah. As a Tibetan Buddhist, then I think if it was if I was Tibetan, most likely I would say yes. It does help in keeping my language alive and my culture alive and my tradition alive, and therefore necessary it's good to keep that alive and therefore do it. And I think this also comes from the lineages as well as. Uh, Now what is most of us the lineage comes from the Tibetan side, so therefore the what is the encouragement towards that is more, I think, more traditional and more cultural. Within the scriptures, there is a need to recite in the mother tongue, the mother language, and the reason for that is because there is some blessing within the mother tongue or the mother language. So even when we reciting Hat Sutra, when we reciting anything, the first syllable, yeah, mostly is in Sanskrit, even in the Tibetan aspect. So when we were studying, for example, when we were studying Parchen, Gyagarketo, first word is Gyagarketo, which means in the language of the what do we say mm, of the what do we say of the Bodhisattva land, yeah. Then Kyagarkedo. Then if you are studying Madhyamika, we say Kyagarkedo Madhyamika Avatara Nama Bhegados. Then comes only after reciting the first line in the Sanskrit, then comes actually Pali and Sanskrit, then comes Tibetan. So to conjoin that so that we have clarity that this is where it comes from. This is important reminder, I think. And then also we say the power of the speech. So if you are reciting in Tibetan, then definitely the power of the speech in Tibetan does flow down through that as well. Now, in the third aspect, one thing that I would say is that I think what we say the construction of the languages between times have changed, whether it be Tibetan, whether it be what we say English, whether it be Chinese, whether it be Sanskrit. The construct of the language has changed, and through the change of the construct of languages, I think that there is profoundness in certain languages, and this is why I normally recommend people who want to go into study deeper, that if the study can be done in certain languages, then it's much, 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 much better. The best, of course, is in Pali and Sanskrit because the what we say the language itself has so much base in regards to the utilization of the philosophical words and explanations is much more profound, whereas
Yeah.
in Tibetan is less profound because Tibetan derived from the Sanskrit language, and I think wordings and so on and so forth have changed throughout time. But then compared to the English language, which has been used in, the English language has been designed in a certain way where it was utilized in a certain part, not so much in the spiritual discovery part, I think. So there again, a little bit of a, what we say, lost in translation, lost in language sort of thing, just maybe. Yeah, so this, I think, few different reasons. But when it comes down to the recitation, I definitely say if you are Chinese, you recite in Chinese. If you're English, you recite in English. If you're Portuguese, you recite in Portuguese, language. If you're Spanish, you recite. Just don't forget the roots. And that is something important that gives us encouragement, that gives us, profundity in where the practice comes from. It's like sitting down and meditating, and the first thing we do is pray to Buddha, because this is where the teachings come from. This is appreciation, right? So definitely that part is there, just to encourage you. But then the rest of the practice has to be done in a language that you understand, a language that you can capture, a language that you can, integrate. Otherwise, just reciting words is merely reciting words. No, I don't
Yeah.
know. I hope that
Yeah,
is.
no. We're on yeah, you and I are on the same page, actually.
Mm,
Um, okay. Then the other thing, which I kind of understand, but not really, is repetition. The value
mm,
of, with a lot of the practices that we do, for instance, taking refuge is done 3 times. Can you go ahead and talk a little bit about that, the
mm.
usefulness of that, please? Thank you.
Yes, yes. One of the qualities of life and one of the qualities of the mind, for example, I always say, when you're in samsara and when we are in samsara and we have a samsaric mind, then the mind is distracted all the time. And then this is the mind, and then the samsaric world is a lot of distractions. We have to take care of ourselves financially, physically, emotionally, that this, taking care of family, taking care of this, there. So most of our time is consumed. We barely have any time. So this is the nature of samsara. And one of the qualities in sticking clarity, in sticking to what we should be doing and what is the importance, is, I think, reminder. The lack of reminder is one thing that helps our ignorance develop very fast. So I think this is one of the ways of reminding, is the repetition. uh, if if you are, I always say, one of the qualities of life in anything is habituation. Yeah, even with our hands, even the way we talk, even the way we speak, even the words that we use, if the awareness of the habituation is not there, then the habit tends to follow, right? In whatever way. So, so because of that, then a reminder is very important. If you want to break habits, then reminding of breaking habits is very important. If you want to contemplate, then reminding to contemplate is very important. Nowadays we have the whole reason we have certain apps that are that remind you is because of that, because we need the reminding. Without the reminding, we tend to forget, we tend to lose our track. So repetition in one form is the reminder. And this repetition should not just come from your side, but I think if you have a guru, then this repetition has to come from the guru's side. Most importantly, in practice, then this repetition has to come from the guru's side. Similar to when we were a child and our mother and father tell us all the time, don't do this, don't do this, don't do, so this I have experienced with my teacher as well. Every time I start, what do we say, becoming lazy, procrastinating, so on and so forth, and then my teacher comes and reminds me. It does help in freshening up the mind and saying, yes, this is where I need to focus. This is where I need to work on. So definitely that is one of the qualities that I like to share in regards to repetition, is reminding. We need reminding. We have to remind ourselves. We have to receive remindings from others. And this what we say repetition is a form of expressing that quality. So that's one of the reasons. Now the second one is in regards to repetition of memorization. uh, I think the method that has been used definitely uh, is it's very what do we say usable in this era as well. Now the reason why it came up was a different reason. Like we say memorizing uh, in the old times in Tibet. My teacher, my Genla, used to tell me the stories. In Tibet, they would have 300-400 monks in a class, and they would have maybe 30 to 40 books to share around. Not everyone had a had the what do we say the what do we say um, uh, the fortune to have a book like nowadays. Nowadays, books are even digital, right? Now you don't even have to carry a book around. But in those days, it was different time. It was more scarces. So therefore, because the book had to be shared around, so you would get the book for 1 month, and then you would have to not have the book for the next 3-4 months, because the whole class had to share, and you would pass the book around. So memorization was a method to keep the words in so, in here, instead of relying on the book all the time, because the book it wasn't available as it is right now. So that was one of the main reasons why this system of memorization came up. Now another thing is, in this era, because everything is so available, then there is what is the downside? Of course, there's upside to it, which means that whenever we want, whenever we need, we can just on our phone or somewhere, and just get it, or open it up and go through the words. But the downside of it is, because we have it, then our laziness kicks in. They say, oh yeah, I have it, so I can do it whenever I feel like it. The problem is the feeling never comes. So, so it does kick in a side of procrastination in some sense, I think. So, one of the reasons why my teacher never let me record the classes that I had with him was because of that. Because he said, well, if I let you record, and you have a recording, then you would never listen to it. And it was, in some sense, I think it was there. It was true. I was like, no, 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 but I'm recording so that I can listen to it. But because I had it in my, what do you call, in my recorder, then my mind is always like, yeah, I have it. I can listen to it whenever I want. And this listening never came. So so there is that downside to it as well. To what we say, to uh, work with that downside, I think also to utilize memorization is also one very important aspect. And then there's also much more freedom in regards to, if you are a deep practitioner, then in regards to having to look at a book every 10-15 minutes. It's hard, it's much more time consuming and much more harder in regards to practice than to be able to sit down and really contemplate with the words in your mind. So there definitely is a difference. I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, it helps. Yeah, I'll just volunteer. I did sort of figure out I've got my own negative mantras that I've observed
Mm.
that I repeat negative thoughts repeatedly. So
Yes, yes.
consequently, repeating positive thoughts repeatedly, that's a good thing. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes. So I think this is one method of truly utilizing. This is one thing. We have so many things to utilize, but the method and the way that we utilize is sometimes a little bit, it does a little bit sometimes mess with our, what do we say, our nature, the samsaric nature. And if we have to do something without knowing, without having any idea, then it does affect. I remember many 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 days sitting in the corner memorizing, thinking, what am I doing with my life? Why am I just memorizing words that I don't even understand? And the teacher is forcing me to memorize. And this is not fun at all. But once you understand the words and you can contemplate, you can close your eyes and think of the words and contemplate, then your mind is occupied. And it not just builds habituation in the practice, it also, I mean, the whole thing becomes so different in regards to practice. Yeah, so definitely there's much more uh, what do we say, reference in knowing, understanding the words.
Many thanks.
Yes.
Tony, you're up next.
Hi, Rinpoche. Hi, everyone. Um,
Ah.
Great to see
How are you?
you. Great. Very, very well. How about yourself?
Ah, good.
And I, like everyone else here in Santa Fe, is very, very excited for
Yes.
your return and that you'll be with us long, long term. And yeah, it's awesome. So, like, um, I have a question about Terma and you being a Terma holder. Um, I would say decades before I even entered the Buddha Dharma, that's a phrase that I came across and um, was very much, since I live in Santa Fe, I was very much enchanted by that term. Um, and I was wondering if you could expound upon it a little bit from your own experience. Um,
Mm.
yeah, just from your heart, and yeah, yeah.
Yeah. The Dharma system, uh, more uh, what we say, more known in the what you call the Nyingma system. This comes from the what we call the Vajra practice of Guru Rinpoche. Guru Rinpoche, Padmasambhava, amazing practitioner. And his method of practice was very profound. It integrated, mainly it integrated the practice of Tantra. Um, so just to clarify one thing, I don't I don't put myself in the responsibility or in the shoe of the dharma, what we say, finding and the practice too much, as myself. But definitely, the link to the predecessor, that is there. The predecessors, mainly on that side. But from my side, I think more on the sutric aspect of practice rather than the tantric aspect of the practice. Well, for now, anyway. Um,
Okay,
just clarifying.
yeah.
Then,
I appreciate the
uh,
clarification. Well, thank you.
yes. Then I think the important aspect of the dharma, uh, especially, is most relevant in the era, we say the era of the degenerate era. Uh, some like to call this time right now that we are in, they like to name it the degenerate era, Kali Yuga, as we say. uh, I have a little bit of a different perspective towards that because I think one time last time in TNL also I mentioned, and now instead of degenerate, I think it's a more generate era. I don't know if that's the opposite of degenerate, but anyway, now it's the more profound era because the availability is so much compared to just like the story that we were just talking about earlier in regards to text being so scarce. Now it is available in in any language, in any, so the availability has just, well, a thousandfold gone up. So if you're a practitioner, mm, willing to put the effort, then definitely this is not a degenerate era. This is definitely a productive era because the utilization you can do. Now, in sense of where samsara is headed, the situation in samsara is headed, then maybe you can bring in the concept of the degenerate era into it in some perspective. So I think it depends a lot on which way you're looking at it. But this practice was meant for the degenerate era because the teachings would be lost. And like I said, now it is more available than any time. So therefore, I'm not sure if the lost part is actually what is applicable there in this case. So that is that. In the practice itself, mainly in the tantric practice itself, these are methods to negate what we call shejedipa, yeah, or what we call what we say wisdom obscuration. The tantra itself is the fastest way to negate the wisdom obscuration, and the wisdom obscuration is the obscuration that keeps us from reaching our fullest potential of the mind, which is the enlightened mind. It is in nature, in existent in within us. Yeah, this is, I think some like to call it the clear light state, some like to call it the Rigpa state, some like to call it the Semba state. But whatever it may be, the profoundness of reaching that state is done through the practice of negating the wisdom obscuration. And that wisdom obscuration is negated by negating the what we call the grasping attitude. Yeah, not the need, not the like, not the want, not the love, but the grasping towards all of those. Yeah, so the main thing is also the I. I think the I is profound in so many different ways. Yeah, it's just the grasping that comes with it that's the big problem. Yeah, the eye is okay, the eye can be there and it's not a problem. It's the grasping that is the problem. So this graspingness that it talks about, yeah, this one to deal with it, because the graspingness is different in all different situations, even in our own minds. If we sit down and meditate and think about it, we start to see that the graspingness arises in many different forms. Yeah, every situation is a different kind of grasping, whether it be grasping out of love, whether it be grasping out of hatred, whether it be grasping out of, what is the ego, whether it be grasp. So the grasping, even though the grasping is same, the nature of the grasping is different. So therefore, because the grasping, all kinds of different graspings, then also the practice towards negating the what we say the root of the grasping, which is the wisdom obscuration, uh, negating the wisdom obscuration, also many different methods taught. And the profoundness of tantra is that within tantra then it explores all the different methods, all the different kinds of grasping, from subtle level all the way to the gross innate gross level. So um, so the practice integrating that initiates what we call the awakening of the self inner, what we call the inner Buddha, in some sense you can call it. And this is done through all kinds of different practices. So the dharma mainly consist, I think, in the profound form that it exists. Then it mainly consists of, I think, the 87 different kinds of practices, or lineage practice as they call it. Whether it's lineage or not, this is debatable, but still, for now, let's call it lineage. Yeah, the 87 different lineage practices. And through these lineage practices, the main thing, the goal is quite similar. There's no difference. The only problem with the dharma is, and the lineage is that now the grasping becomes stronger because of the lineage rather than, disappearing because of the lineage. Yeah, because of the master, because of the lineage, because who found it and who discovered it and who built it and who built a monastery around it and who's now promoting it. And so this the problem with all of this is that instead of finding the root cause of the grasping and working with that, it's the opposite is starting to happen. It's making a rise of the root cause, the making a rise of the graspingness. So this something that is a little bit profound in understanding, and a little bit samsaric nature in some sense. We like to take the best of the best and then chop it up and make it into a salad, and then think, wow, this is beautiful. Yeah, you
Right.
see a flower, and then instead of enjoying the flower outside, we like to pick it and chop it up and make it into small pieces and design something out of it, and then say, wow. So this is nature of samsara, and I think because of this nature, then we tend to do something similar to different practices as well. So this is, I think, the downside of it. But in regards to the dharma itself, the 87 different practices, these many different historical events promoted this. One of the historical events, whether it's true or not, I don't know, but it's a story that we can share in regards to Guru Rinpoche going and subduing all kinds of different demons and demonesses around the what we call the Himalaya regions, especially where the mountains are. And after subduing all of this, leaving different what we say footprints in the places where the subduing happened, and teaching people what we say, Guru Rinpoche discovering that the methods he used in order to subdue can be a practice, but at that time it was not a practice that was what was it that was um, digestible to the era at that time. Not a practice that could be given out, simply given out at that time. He looked at
Right.
people's mind, he looked at the situation, and then he said, "Well, this is a practice that is useful, but not at this time. It's useful maybe later on times when the Kali Yuga becomes much more stronger." So therefore, these methods of subduing were hidden, and it's not just subduing the grasping within ourselves, but the subduing of the grasping of inner grasping of within others as well. So these methods were put down in words or put down in uh, different forms. Yeah, the teachings within the 87, I think I don't remember, but 30 something were actually not even written. Uh, these were dharmas that could be discovered just by reaching certain places. And this is, I think, the idea of pilgrimage, and all of this also somehow profoundly came out of this practice as well, because they say when a certain person reaches a certain place, then some realization would come, some kind of understanding would come as well. So this is where the people go around to these holy places, and so these also did, I think, somehow impact the concept of pilgrimages and all of that. So
Okay.
anyway, I think I'm not sure if this helps, but something like that.
I saw it in your biography, and I had to ask because that the term has just been something that has triggered me for decades. So I just wanted to ask.
Yes,
Thank you, Rinpoche. Thank you. And
yes,
looking
yes.
forward to seeing you soon.
Yes, thank you
And
so much.
ciao,
Yeah, the
bye. Thank you.
term
Thanks, everybody.
tir, yeah, the term tir is actually treasure. Tir
Mm,
in Tibetan word is treasure. So uh, uh, mainly the word itself is treasure. Uh, and these not just hidden by Guru Rinpoche, but then some termas also hidden by what we call Mandarava and Jitsogyal. Yeah, so these um, great practitioners.
okay.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Mm.
Yeah. Ooh. Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh. Nice. Beautiful ending. Thank you. Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Yes, Nim.
It's a Shaw. But Tim's here too. Rinpoche, I don't
Let's
know. This
delay.
question might come out as confused as I am. So I was just going through in praise of Dharma Dhatu, and we were doing a commentary about Buddha nature versus Buddhahood. And
Mm.
the 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 controversy is around the Zhengtong view that we're all
Yeah.
Buddhas versus we all have Buddha nature. And so I can see my confusion comes from my own understanding or ignorance. So I can see how it would make sense to say we all have Buddha nature because I can see my own obscurations. Like I get angry, I hate, like dislike some people. Like I see the obscurations, but then I can see from a non-dualistic perspective that we all could be Buddhas. But I can't
Yes.
imagine that I could be a Buddha and have obscurations because once you're a Buddha, you're a Buddha. Like you can't be a Buddha and then have obscurations. So I
Yes,
think
yes.
I'm just confused about where on the fence I should land with that.
Mm. So Buddha nature is uh, three different methods of defining Buddha nature. The easiest one is uh, what we call lo rigpa shepa, right? Lo, Rigpa, and Shepa. Yeah, this is the mind itself. Yeah, the Buddha nature is the mind itself. So that is the simplest way to look at things because the mind, in its own innate nature, when you define the mind, yeah, not a particular mind, but when you define the mind in general, then it's just as we philosophically use the term, clear and knowing. So this form of clear and knowing itself is already what we say nature of the Buddha mind, and the only thing that comes after specifying or after particularizing the nature of the clear and knowing, then comes obscurations. So the obscuration only coming down when we are very specific. Yeah. So then if you talk about the nature of the mind, then it exists in the Buddha. It exists everywhere. So you cannot have obstacles in the nature of the mind itself, right? Because if you had a obstacle to nature of mind within the Buddha, then that is problematic. Yeah. Then so I think that defining between the hood and the nature is very clearly in the awakening part. Yeah, the hood comes after the awakening part. The nature is within itself. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah. So the hood is the after the awakening part, and the nature is within itself. The way the nature even though the nature is within itself, then it takes what we say, it takes progress in awakening the nature. Once the awakening happens, then the hood is, that's where it is, sort of thing, I think. So I think this mainly this is the differentiation. Now in the concept of the kayas, for example, in the concept of the kayas, then the nature is defined as the intrinsic nature that exists, not the nature of the mind that exists, but the intrinsic nature that exists. Yeah, the intrinsic nature, or the empty nature. Yeah, we call it. Yeah, tong gitawa. So the empty nature that exists, that is in the Buddha's nature. So therefore, we say the nature of the mind, the Buddha mind, is within everyone, is on the basis of the inherent existence that is within the mind itself. So that is one part. Now the awakening part is the what we say is the clarity of that mind, that what we say, that inherent existing mind, clear realization of that inherent existing mind of the wisdom obscuration and the methods to negate the wisdom obscuration. That becomes the second part of the difference between the nature of the mind and the awakening mind. Now the third part is, I think, if you study the what we say, the tantra aspect, then the third part becomes in what we say, in the innate nature itself, when the differentiation, you are able to define the difference, but what we say, but utilize both sides of the differences. Yeah, so this, I think, a little bit more profound, because in the scripture it talks about you sitting there and looking at something, and looking at something and seeing the most disgusting, most horrible thing in front of you, and then right next to it, or not right next to it, but inside that horrible, disgusting nature, you also see the most pure nature of things as well. And this is a little bit hard to contemplate. I don't know if I give you an example, maybe a little bit disgusting example. It may be like, you have a pile of shit in front of you, right? Then we are closing our nose, oh, disgusting, is horrible. But then being able to see that the nature of the shit is nothing other, the disgusting and all of this is within the mind, and in the nature itself, there's nothing that defines it as something horrific or something disgusting. I don't know, something like that, I think. So when the realization of that in the innate nature itself starts to pop up, then comes the awakening part. So Tantra is a little bit more dramatic, I think, in some sense, a little bit more, you know, hard to capture without the clarity of the mind. So quite importantly, we do need clarity of the mind to integrate the third aspect. But the easiest aspect of integrating does come from just understanding the nature of the mind itself, the profoundness of it, the clarity of the what we say clear and knowing part, Seshirikpa part. Then once the Seshirikpa part is integrated and understood, then the progress of working towards awakening that Seshirikpa part, and not awakening in others, but awakening in ourselves, the Seshirikpa part, so that you can reach the potential of that limitlessness in the Seshirikpa. Yeah, when I just say, oh, Seshirikpa, clear and knowing, then you can see that there's limitless possibility. Yeah, this is where the enlightenment is also possible because the Seshirikpa is there. Yeah, so I think these three different aspects is mostly to do. I mean, mostly to in the nature, in the differentiation of the nature and the differentiation of the awakening part. I don't know. That helps.
So we all have Buddha nature, but we're not all Buddhas. Is that
No,
where
no,
we're,
yeah. Yes, yes.
yeah.
So becoming Buddha is the awakening part. Yeah. In the second, becoming Buddha is the awakening part. In the tantric practice, becoming is not the awakening part. So that's the difference, I think. This is
Mhm.
why Tantra is harder. Whereas, understanding Tantra is harder, whereas understanding the different aspects of the practice in the Sutric aspect is a little bit easier because Sutric aspect is quite clear. Yeah, when you awaken it, then that's when the hood comes. Yeah, that's when the what we say, that's when you become a Buddha. But then the tantric part is a little bit different. So I'm just explaining so you understand that there is a difference, and seems like they are a little bit contradictory as well. But if you apply, like I said, if you apply the concept in the tantric part, when you apply the concept of what we say, the sense of equanimity, or no separation, then it becomes the same. So actually, when you are defining in that way, then there's also no contradiction there as well. Yeah.
So they're both right. Okay.
uh,
So
so
they're both true.
uh,
So they're both true that we all have Buddha nature, and then from a tantric perspective, when we look at non-dualism, then we're all technically Buddhas.
yes, yes, yes. So there is that defining is there. The only separation I think to consider is that this defining can only happen on basis of level of practice. So, for example, the arising of the non-dualistic view that integrates into our own existence right now, awakening, or not awakening, but the realization of the Buddha nature, or the true Buddha that is existing, and that has to do only after integrating the most important aspects, what we call the three principal aspects. So only after integrating the three principal aspects, then can this what we say, this utilization happen of the tantric practice. Before that, basically impossible. It's more of an idea, more of an concept that we can contemplate on and see if our mind is able to grasp onto it or not. Other than that, it's just a concept. It cannot be what we say. It cannot be fertilized or it cannot be worked with. But once the integration of the three principal aspect happen, then only the integration becomes much more clearer or possible. Even I think more than clearer, I think it's where the integration actually becomes possible. Before that, with the nature, what with the what we call what is it? Uh, Conventional nature. No, I think this is the main point. The conventionality exists. No, and because the conventionality exists, therefore the aspect of the tantric practice does not exist, cannot exist. So to define the conventionality separately from the what we say the true nature of reality, that has to happen in order to integrate the aspect of Buddha existing, or the non-dualistic aspect. Without that, then the non-dualistic cease to exist, cannot exist at all, actually.
Yep, that makes sense. That was helpful. Thank you, Rinpoche.
Yes. Good.
I have another question, Venerable Dandruff,
Yes,
if
sir.
that's okay, or if anybody else is waiting. So when we did the class about the bardos,
Mm,
and let me see if I can get this question right. So I have three questions around the same thing. So
mm,
the first question is, we talked about meditation and meditation posture and the 7-point posture. It's
mm.
highly likely, and this is about the transference of consciousness. It's highly recommended that you're in the 7-point posture to do the transference. It's highly
Yes,
likely
yes,
that when you're dying, we're either reclined or we're lying down flat.
yes,
And
sir.
I've
Yes,
tried it. It's really, really hard to do that transference when I'm lying on my back flat. So
yes.
does the posture actually affect the transference?
Uh, there's two different answers to that. The first answer is yes, and the second answer is no. And this one, I think, again, comes down to a little bit of what we say a chain reaction in regards to so one thing very clear is the mind. The most important aspect is not the posture, is the mind. Yeah. So that is one aspect of it. If the mind is in the what is the state itself, if the mind is in the state itself, then the posture, I think, external influences does not matter at all. Yeah. But if the mind is not clear and the mind needs clarity, then the posture matters a lot. So I don't know if that makes sense, but both of them are important equally. But then the equality tends to change based on the mind. So if I give you an example, uh, what we call Siddha, yeah. So what we call Siddha, Siddha, what is Siddha straight sort of thing, right? Siddha practice. When the straight practice is there, then the mind is clear, and when the mind is clear, then the utilization of whatever needs to be utilized up here is in progress, right? When the siddha is not there, then the backfold towards that siddha is that now you're worried about your body, you're worried about what's happening around you, you're worried about what you are seeing, you're worried about what you are hearing, you're worried about whatever you are sensing, basically. So now when you are laying down and you are seeing certain things up here where if your eyes is open, if your ear is functioning, then you hear certain things. The posture is to unite all senses. This is the whole reason for the posture itself, to unite the senses. And no other reason. The chakras we aligning within our body is to unite the senses. Yeah. If you go beyond uniting the senses and the aura and this and that, then the posture is, if you're out of your body, then why would the posture matter at all? This is the question I would put out. If there is, a dialect in regards to posture, then yeah, if your being or your innate being, Atma, as we call, right? I don't know what the English word is, but if the Atma is out of the body, then there's no connection to the body. Then what is the requirement of the body? The only reason the requirement of the body is there is because to align the senses, to unite the senses, and to bring the senses together so that so the mind can focus, basically. Yeah, when the senses are all over the place, right? When you are tasting something, like when you are drinking and you are intoxicated, it's similar to that, right? So I think the answer is yes, and the answer is also no. And this one depends a lot on the, what we say, the capability of the mind in regards to uniting the, whether it be uniting the senses, or whether it be, your capability to ignore the senses, or your capability to focus. So I think most practices, especially in regards to practice of shamatha, or in practice of vipassana, then the focus of the posture does affect a lot, because now you are developing to develop the concentration, to align the concentration, to align the what we say, the senses. But beyond that, yeah, the after vipassana, then the aligning is no more necessary, because you have already achieved single pointed concentration. So I think there is a little bit of a difference between the two. Both are equally important and both are equally useful, but in different situations. Make sense?
Yeah, perfect sense. Thank you, Rinpoche.
Yes.
I'll ask my follow-up question since nobody else's hand is raised. All right,
Yes,
so when
yes.
you're in, so it's two questions. Say all of them are related to this bardo. Is there any way for a non-realized being like myself to skip entering the bardo at death? Or any being? Is there any way to skip entering the bardo, or do we all have to go through the bardo?
Uh, the Bardo state is a little bit, I think the Bardo state little bit unstable, and this instability comes with the samsaric, what we call the samsaric debt, as we call it, right? Or the samsaric imprints. The instability, the stronger the samsaric imprint, the stronger the instability of the Bardo. Because the Bardo state, I think, I don't know how exactly the exact explanation is, but how I see it is, I see Bardo, a state of mind, like you just came out of trauma, right? You came out of a traumatic experience. Now you are not in the experience, but based on how your mind is handling the experience, then you have that, that phase, right? That traumatic phase. So it's something like that, I think. I don't know if maybe I'm just I'm saying this so that maybe it can give you a little bit of understanding towards it. But this is how I see it. Yeah, I see that samsara is a very traumatic experience, and after dying and leaving the samsaric body, then finally you're rid of one part of samsara for a short time. Mm, and then based on the mind that you are carrying, then the samsaric trauma still exists there, even though the body is not experiencing. Yeah, if you look at the worldly experience right now that we're having, we can see that it's based on the senses a lot. It's based on the body, right? The pain, the dissatisfaction, the taste, the what we seeing dissatisfaction, the tactile dissatisfaction, everything coming from the body. This is why the body is known as the core of samsara in some sense, duje, korwa, pungbo, right? So when we say what is samsara, then the first one is duje. Duje is duicheba, compounded phenomena. Then korwa, samsara. Then finally comes pungbo, which is the body. So the body is a very, very important part of samsaric experience. So I think based on the samsaric experience that the body have, then the Bardo state tends to change, and this has to do with a lot with the state of mind that that the state of mind that is existent within the samsaric, or within the experience, yeah, samsaric experience that you had. So therefore, it changes. And because it changes, therefore the bardo state also changes based on that, based on the mindset or the mind, the mind that is carried forward. So the imprint changes the what is it, the quality of the bardo itself. The main reason why the bardo practice exists is because this is a point where you can utilize what we say the Rigpa state at its fullest potential, because now the Rigpa state is not not interacting with the body, not interacting with the senses, so this is why the utilization can happen at its most profound level. This is the main reason of the bardo practice. Now, when it comes to the state of the bardo itself, then defining state is a little bit hard, because the bardo state changes based on samsaric, yeah, Arya bardo state is different. Then Bodhisattva's bardo state is different. Then every realm, I think, if you look at each and every realm, then the bardo state is different in each and every realm as well.
Yep, you answered. Yeah, that was what I was asking. And then my final follow-up question.
Yes,
So
yes.
the Rigpa state. So if I miss that clear light on that eight on the dissolution phase, I miss clear light. I'm in the bardo of becoming, or I'm about to enter the bar. Sorry, there's some construction happening next door. So I'm entering the bardo of becoming. So I've missed my first clear light. I'm entering the bardo of becoming. I'm there. Is there any way that I can gain enlightenment in that bardo of becoming, or that's just another samsaric birth once I enter the bardo of becoming?
So Siba Lemba Sekpa, 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 in the state of Sekpa, then integration of the 12 different levels of the Sekpa itself. What do you say? What you're calling the bardo of becoming, right? Sekpa. So in the 12 the 12 states within that, little bit confusing, but mainly the clear light state, initiating the clear light state at the what we say the Siba part, the what we say the Siba is which one? Uh, Sorry, my English term. Anyway, in the Siba part, yeah, with the clear light adjoining at the Siba part, this is, I think, in the state of utilization of the body itself. Now, in the state of not utilizing the body, then the clear light state can be awakened at the Sekpa part, at the becoming part as well. This is there, but then now the becoming is divided into three becomings. One is becoming as in already being born in the womb. I mean, already, what we say, your mind already entering the womb already. So that is also becoming state. So Sekpa state. So that Sekpa state, then the clear light cannot function at all. So that is a different kind of Sekpa state. The Sekpa state in regards to leaving this body and entering the Bardo state, then clear light still possible. Uh, initiating conditions are not right, but then still possible. Uh, Fully conditioning has to happen through the body itself, and this is why, again, another reason why in the Lamrim they talk about the precious human rebirth is because is precious, because in this human rebirth with the body, then the awakening becomes the conditions for the awakening are very what do we say, right? Yeah, for the ripening it's very right. So another reason, but anyway, still within the bardo state, then we are acquainted with the bardo body as well. So utilize, if you are profound enough, then utilization of that body to awaken the clear light state also happens. But this is similar to, in the text it's described similar to precious human rebirth, because I think maybe you have heard the story. We say the precious human rebirth is very precious because it only happens once in a while. It's like a blind turtle, what we say, coming up to have, what we say, take air once in a while, once in like 100 years or something like that, and then there's a ring, a golden ring on top of the level, and every time it comes up, just the ring is just floating. So the matching is like, the turtle coming out for air once in 100 years, and the ring being there, and the turtle's neck going through the ring once. So this is like nearly impossible. The precious human rebirth is also described as that. Then for that state, for the, what we say, the utilization of the clear light state, awakening of the clear light state, is also explained, and in the scripture is explained something like that. So I think, not that any experience or anything, but I think it sounds very, 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 very rare. So, yeah, makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, makes perfect sense. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
I can give somebody else a chance now.
Yeah. Uh,
Who would like to go next? Ree?
Hi, how are
Hello,
you?
hello. Good, good. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. A question following Nim and I can't say your last name. Just back to the Bardo. I did hear a talk, and it was on YouTube, but it was from the center, and I don't know if I've read it right. So you can be there for 49 days, right?
Yes,
In the
yes.
butter. Yep. So, and it was said after 7 days, if you haven't taken another life on,
Mm.
um, you would then go back and go through the whole process again. Could you,
Uh,
how does that
not
work?
the whole process, but you
What's,
you you live in the state. Yeah. So within the scripture, I think there is a little bit different. Some explain a little bit differently, some explain little bit differently. But the general, I'm just giving you the general concept. The general concept is minimum 7 days. Then
yeah,
it extends if the throwing karma does not ripen or does not work, and what we say, the accumulation or the use, what we say, using or the accumulating is still happening, then the karma changes. So then you get, not you have to go through the whole process, but you get stuck there. So,
okay.
uh, so they do, some texts explain in the form of 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, like that. Some texts explain in the form of 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. Some texts explain in the form of 7, 3, 7, 3, 7, 3. So this one I cannot really confirm exactly how
Okay.
it is. But then the
Yeah.
description is a little bit different in different texts. Um, but generally, on the general concept, then it's every 7 days. I think this is the more general idea that we have, that every 7 days, then the what we say, the accumulation sort of changes. And I think there is a good description between why the days and the timing and all of that are keep on changing. And the description behind this is that the Bardo state, the days in the Bardo state are completely different from the days that we count. Yeah, so
Ah,
so the timing, the whole structure of the timing itself already changes. So this is why they say there is a little bit of a, what we said, people explaining teachers explaining in different ways, because it's a little bit hard to capture exactly how time works and how the time functions in the state of the Bardo. So there is little bit, there is some sense in why people say the different explanations.
okay. Okay.
But then,
All right.
but
Yeah.
then
Okay.
the state itself is quite in general. I think the state itself is based on the, time is a basic illusion we have on us to keep our sanity. Yes. Yeah. Uh, 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 so the time is a basic illusion that we
Oh,
have
I
on
like
earth to
that. You
keep
like that. No, I thought you might think it was okay. Cool. Okay.
so I think
Okay.
yeah.
I
because
just had a vision of thinking, okay, 7 days has passed, and the way it was in the teaching, it was sort of said, then you have to go through the process again. And I thought, oh hell, what does that mean? Do I have to go through? I
oh,
knew I'd be passed, but I didn't
oh.
understand what sort of process I was going to have to go through again, and that sort of, I guess, sort of freaked me out a bit. What was I going to go through?
Yeah, so if you look at the 12 links of dependent origination, then Sipa, Lemba, Sekpa, Lemba, the Lemba part already arising. So once arising the Lemba part, then it's already preparing for the becoming part. So because of that, then I don't think the process, the death process has to happen all over again.
No.
But there are scriptures that explain that every 7 days, then you need to take a new Bardo body as well. That
Okay.
one, I'm not sure if it's as experientially described as the profoundness of the awakening of the three, the three Siva Lambasakwa. Maybe it's not very profound as that. But also again, whether the death process happens all over again or not, that is I'm not so sure about that. But then generally it's not described in that way. So
Okay.
I wouldn't say that the whole process happens again.
Okay. Oh, that's good to know.
Mm.
Just one
Yes.
other, just one other part to it. Course, obviously, it was the teaching was on death, and the teacher was saying like someone has passed, and I was just sort of wanting this for if I was with someone and they had passed, and say there's different ways to check to see if they have left the body. And they went through that. And if you're in a situation where you're in hospital and the person hadn't left their body, they talked about you could tap them on the head or pull a piece of hair out if they had hair. And I just wanted, just for my own knowledge, I guess, if I was with someone, what would I look for? What, exactly, could you explain a little bit about that more?
So there is a system called POA, the POA system. Uh, this is a little bit of a profundity in it because this is my own thought. The profundity in it comes because you need to know what you're doing. Yeah, if we, if we act like we know what we are doing and we do, sometimes we make situations worse
Yeah.
instead of helping. So this, I think, there is a profundity in the method and the profundity comes from understanding. So definitely one of the things is the awakening part, so tapping is I think tapping can be two parts. If it's a meditator, then tapping is actually a distraction. Shouldn't be tapping or the head. Yeah. So if, like, for example, if someone passes away and they go into meditation, then tapping is not a good thing. I wouldn't say it's a good thing.
Okay.
Uh, and so is the pulling of the hair, I think. The main reason the kable kaksho Durgaksho, which is the crown of the kable, crown of the what you call the skull. The pulling of the hair, then takusho, we say what we say, transferring the 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 space, yeah, transferring the space for the what we say, this one to the thing to the thing to what we say, the release, yeah, the release to
The
happen,
release.
yeah, the
Yeah.
release to happen. This one also takes a profundity in the practice itself. Now, one of the profundities that you are cleansed, I think, because again, this comes down to energy. Because if you are not cleansed, then the energy that you are transferring can sometimes, like for example, if you're doing it, if you are an egoistic person and you're doing it, then that's actually harming more than more than benefiting. So there again, I think a little bit of profundity in regards to the situation itself. um I couldn't get the whole for the Kusha grass, and he said it doesn't matter as long as I relax, people get competitive ever dying. Kusha, I mean, don't open, and he said doesn't matter. Ah, So yeah, so I think the concept in the application itself is that pure morality, pure what we call uh, uh, what we call zigme, which means non-grasping. Yeah, so this is one of the qualities necessary in order to what we say in order to release capability to, or the profoundness to capability to release has to happen through the non. This one, I think also when it happens, it's good if it's someone you don't know, or someone you don't have what we say a connection with. uh,
Connection. Yeah.
yeah, connection with it. Then I think then the mind is more equal mm, in regards to the process. So that is described in the scriptures as well. And I think if you have had experience within the traditional experience, then when someone passes away and they build the cremation and everything, after 7 days when they open the cremation, then also to open the cremation they require someone who, like normally a small child who doesn't have any, the mind is more stable to actually go in and do the thing. So these requirements are there. And so uh, I don't know how to explain exactly, but then uh, to be able to do it, definitely there are required qualities within ourselves that need to be applied. And second thing is it depends a lot on the what we say the situation, whether it's a practitioner, whether it's meditating. So there again, if you have a little bit of a practice of shamatha, it can help in understanding whether you are whether you should be doing or not as well, because through the practice of shamatha, then also one of the what do we say one of the qualities that comes out of the practice of shamatha, what we call mundane qualities, is that you are able to utilize a little bit of a clairvoyance. So understanding where the state of the mind is at that moment is important, I think.
Okay. Okay.
Mm.
Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes. But then again, mm, I think mostly this I would say from my teachers, especially from Gyabdala Mathudan Zopa Rinpoche, Gandhi Tusu Rinpoche, this came from there. And this is more to do with the practice of guru, disciple, or what we call guide. So if the if you have what is a confidence in guidance, and this is I think one important aspect as well, because this is basically what you're doing is you're guiding uh you're guiding the atma, as we say, right? You're guiding the atma in a more profound way. In the scripture also, it depends a lot on the guidance. If the guidance is extremely profound, like if the Buddha is guiding you, then definitely can go straight to some pure land, like Amitabha pure land or some kind of pure land, just like that. But then if the guidance is not good, then even though maybe the what do we say, the transport system is comfortable, you don't go to any kind of pure land, you just go back to Bardo. uh, you know then if the guidance is extremely what do we say extremely not good, then instead of going anywhere, you get stuck within the body itself. So this is a little bit different in every explanation, but I think, yeah, the profoundness is what matters the most.
Can I ask a quick follow-up to that practice, Rinpoche? So when
Yes,
you're
yes,
doing
yes.
this practice, so if power, transference of consciousness is part of your practice, you actually engage in that practice as soon as the earth elements start dissolving. Am I correct?
Yes, yes, yes. So, if you are doing the practice itself, then the practice itself actually three stages. Yeah, what we call ke ne jig, right? Ke ne jig is what we say. First is born, then is sustaining, then it's then jigba is to finish, to accomplish, sort of thing. So the three stages of the practice, there is the three stages of the practice, and the becoming itself is, I think, the practice that you need to do as a practitioner, even before, maybe even before the person is dying. Actually, this already starts, and then after the practice, then comes the sustaining, which means then contributing whatever you can in regards to what we say. Now I don't know the terms in English, but then there's many different sectors of leading. For example, the sector of leading in regards to the mental development. Welcome to Nepal. Sorry, the light just went. The Nepal's instability. Yes. So, yeah. So, what was I saying? I forgot what I was saying.
We were talking about when to do the power practice, and you said that there are three instances or three
Oh, yeah,
states.
yeah. So in the intermediate, then I think this has to do with a lot of different practices in regards to I think the connecting. So in regards to what is having the ability, developing the ability to or to transform karma, transform what we say, the nature of the karma, leading and so on and so forth. So these things happen in the middle state. Then inner state is the initiating of the, what we say, of the awakening of those karma, because that's through that is where the real, what we say, the poi itself, the practice of the poi itself happens. So yeah, just like you said, it does happen in different stages.
Thank you. I can ask a follow-up question unless anybody else has a question. So it is said in the text, I can't remember which text, but it said in the text, I think is Gampopa. It said that the mind is selfless. And there's this
Mind is what?
Selfless. And it has been selfless since beginning.
Selfless.
Yeah, and it has been since beginningless time. And then there's a commentary by I think it was something about the Heart Sutra that says some teacher said that it is the body that wanders in samsara, not the mind. And that was a little confusing for me because the body can't really exist without a mind, or can the body exist without a mind? And is it the body that wanders in samsara, or is it the collection of the mind and the body?
I think the body is the samsara, then the mind is just the experience. Yeah, so it works in combination. Yeah, just the body experiencing samsara does not mean the experience is arisen. That doesn't mean the experience arises. What makes the experience arise? What makes the suffering arise? What makes is the recognition. Right, so it's similar to pain. For example, if your body does not register pain, then the pain ceases to exist. Even though there's poking and there's all of that, then pain ceases to exist. So the combination or the unity of the body and the mind is so profound in that way that the body the body experiences, and then the mind registers the experience. I mean, this one, okay, again, there's a little bit differentiation between the consciousness and the organ again within the body. So you have, for example, you have the eye consciousness and the eye organ. So the body sort of like registers as in the body, the eye organ is the part of the body. So the body registers the visual, whatever it may be. And then the mind, after the the what we say, the sugnang, after the sugnang is registered, then the sheba, the knowing part, contemplates, and that has to do with the mind. And then after the knowing, the awareness, then is the reflection on the knowing. Oh, I like it, I don't like it, I like how it looks, it has to, but it's a little bit crooked, it's all of these things. The contemplation itself is done by the mind. It has nothing to do with the body. So it's yes, the body cannot exist without the mind. I mean, the body is just a pile of flesh and bones and guts and pus and blood and thing. Without the mind is just that. But then with the mind, then the function and the recognition starts to happen. But then the mind without the body also, they cannot exist in some sense, as it ceases to exist because the mind needs a vessel to function. And this is why every state there is a body in every state, whether it be in some pure land, or whether it be in the Bado state, or whether it be in in any nature that the awareness is there. Then it can only happen on the basis of the vessel.
How would that work for formless beings? They don't have a vessel, do they? Well, do they have a
What?
vessel? Formless beings, do they actually
Oh,
have a vessel?
yeah, formless body. They call it the
Who's
formless body.
okay?
Yeah, there is a vessel, but sort of like in the scripture they call it the formless body. It's not because I think our recognition of body is form. This is something that is in our mind always, so we cannot really comprehend the idea of formless body. But then it does mention the concept of a formless body. I'm not exactly sure to describe it. I don't think I can. Um, but then again, if you look at the clear light body, also it's sort of like it's explained in rainbows and in colors and like that. But then in reality, whether it's truly like that or not, this is actually questionable, because the rainbow body also explained in many different ways. And some do consider the rainbow body to, if the practice is profound enough, then it actually becomes formless as well. So there is a little bit of a uh, what is a little bit of unclarity there. I think based on the profoundness, but yes, I think through what I have studied, then the mind to be able to function in the way that it functions, the clear and knowing functioning, then it does need a body. And this is also the reason why there's the four kayas. Even after enlightenment, it has to stick to one of the kayas. So without the without the combination of the kaya, then the what is the enlightenment state also cannot exist. Now, when we debate, we used to debate and say, "Oh, is there a Buddha that is none of the kayas?" Then we say, "How can a Buddha exist in in a form that is none of the kayas? It cannot." So that kind of shows that yes, there needs to be something that connects with the clear and knowing that so that the functioning of the clear and knowing can actually happen.
But is that attachment, is that attaching to something, is that so let me see. So I guess my understanding of a Buddha is that they're not attached to a form. The only attachment to the form is so that we can perceive a form. Is that accurate, or is it that they have to attach to a form to exist?
The Buddha mind, I think needs to work with the form. Basically, not a form, but it can be a formless, but it needs to work with the vessel, basically. Yeah, the vessel. Without the vessel, then the functioning of like I said, the functioning of the awareness, the function of the clear and awareness, I think is sort of ceases to exist in some sense. And because it's impermanent, then it cannot cease to exist, right? So logically it doesn't make sense that it ceased to exist. And this is, I think, one of the more deep debates that does happen in regards to understanding the function of the mind itself, because the function of the mind, whether the function mm, if I ask you a question like, when you close your eyes, do you cease to see, or do you actually still see? You just see nothingness, or you just see blank, or I don't know. This is something like that, I think, right? You cannot completely cease to see anything when you close your eyes, because you do see something. It's just that that something is not recognized as a shape or a color or a form or anything like that. No, if the ceasing to see itself already ceases, then you need to say the I function itself already ceases to exist. But the I function is there. You cannot say that it ceased to exist, right? So I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yep, that makes, yeah, that was clear.
Yeah.
That was
So
clear.
so
That was
yeah.
good.
So I think it's something like that. That yes, it's reliant on seeing. That's the function of the eye itself. It cannot cease to see. But then again, if I close my eyes, then what do I see? You know, do I see or not? So I think it's something similar to that, that the mind and the body utilizes each other, and the function happens on basis on the utilization of each other. But then, uh, yeah, I don't know, something like that, if that makes sense. But I think it's a quite a profound debating, and this is one of the more major, what we say, big debates that happens in regards to the concept of creation, in regards to the concept of jizo, in regards to the concept of um, the mind, in regards to the concept of the Buddhahood, enlightened state as well. So there, I think this is something that you can still go deeper into experiment, or deeper into mm, philosophical contemplations to understand it. Mm, but the way I see it is something like that.
Yep, that was super helpful. Thank you, Rinpoche.
Yes. Okay.
You Rinpoche.
Okay, so we stop here then. Thank you for joining, everyone. I hope, I don't know if I was able to help or not, but I hope little bit, few things, bits and pieces here and there, little bit clearer. Uh, Thank you so much. Then, yeah, next time.